You get more culture shock. But anyways, it's more normal for people who are not in a good position to become monks, or to become monks just for a short time to pay respect to your family, to give blessings to your family. That's what they do in Thailand and Myanmar also. Short-term ordination to transfer blessings, merits to their families.
Maybe I'm making a bit of an assumption, but I honestly feel like, as a whole, like lay people or monks or whatever, I feel like I notice a lot of kind of development in the lay people, um, which I find a bit surprising to see, because one would maybe assume that, oh, they don't have the lifestyle that's supportive for that kind of development. But even at the medical convention, I felt like the level of evolution was quite a lot amongst, not not a lot, but quite good or whatever amongst the normal people as well.
You gotta get the mic.
Well, you realize more and more how low your level is. You know, that's what it's all about more than anything else. And the more you're immersed, the more you're overwhelmed, the more you see how much work is to do. So that's when you find out your wisdom, when you're off balanced. That's why becoming a monk is so good and essential for the Westerner, because you will be completely off balance, you know, whether with the heat or the conditions or the rules or the community, the culture.
But I have a bit of conflict with that, because I think similarly as well. But I have a bit of conflict with that idea of comparison, because even that kind of inclination to compare is kind of seems null and void sometimes.
Well, it's easy to say that, but when our lives are actually, you know, putting a fist up our ass, you know, that kind of reasoning doesn't really work out. You know, it's like you can say, I win all Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fights by not participating in them. But actually, you might find a time when you're in a fight, and that's when you're tested, and that's what you see, what your skill is. So becoming a monk, in a certain sense, can be like creating the conditions where life stops holding back from fucking you up, fucking your, fucking your mind up, your brain up. Like getting put into a meat grinder while you're still alive. And then you see how how conditional your mind is, how conditioned it is, how much it depends on particular circumstances and environments and people and language and temperature and food and all that, you know. And then you're trapped where you can complain, but your complaining doesn't go anywhere, you know. So it's kind of like we're trapped, but we don't necessarily see we're trapped until that trap intensifies in some way. How trapped we are. So even if you get into the deep states of meditation, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be all bliss and sunflowers after that. You know, the suffering is going to come back. And then it's how you deal with that suffering that's your degree of wisdom. You know, when you can stop identifying with all the suffering, all the unpleasantness, all the unidealness, all the loss.
Maybe it's not a worthwhile kind of train of thought for me to pursue, but I was thinking today when we were in the nunnery, monastery, all the kind of nuns, when in meditation, most of them seemed to be like smiling, and I was thinking to myself, I had two thoughts. Either they're putting it on, or they're all blissed out. And I guess I was kind of comparing that to a lot of other teachers who seem kind of more resonant with that misery energy. Not to say that's a bad thing, but more like that's their work. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Putting it on.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
they're-
saying that's what I thought. I'm not saying that I think that.
It's not too advanced to be happy, you know. Even the people in the God realm or the very wealthy people, you know, they can make themselves feel happy very regularly. But this is like an more aligned with an unconditional happiness and joy and pleasantness. So it's very easy in that sense. Actually, it's a low level actually to be able to do that. But you can see it's a very high level as well for most people. So. The more conditions, the more control, the more things that you're used to that drop away, the more you're going to see what your degree, what your belt is in terms of wisdom and compassion.
Did you think about becoming a monk, Isha?
I was just a few minutes ago, I was asking Dr. Rob why he's never suggested that to me. I think at this current stage, I'm a bit too attached to relationships and certain lifestyle and fitness and goals that I have, which wouldn't really align with the monk lifestyle. But I have thought about it. But at the same time, I think I've aligned and enjoyed kind of this structureless approach to things. And I'm not sure if that's kind of stemming from my callousness of whateverness, but at the same time, I think maybe that monk life structure for me doesn't necessarily mean better development for me either. So. Also, I'm not aware of any monasteries in Sydney.
No, I was gonna ask
Like
if
Buddhist
you've, like,
monasteries.
been to any. There's one that's, I think it's, rainforest type area.
Nantian Temple. There's one kind of a couple hours north or south of Sydney.
It was described as being on a mountain with waterfalls and it just sounds amazing, but there's only like 3 nuns there or something.
Yeah. And that's another thing that you mentioned earlier today, like the maybe scarce community presence there. I think that is something that I'm also compelled to seek out, is a bigger community, and also potentially just dissolving into that hive mind like the ants, you know? There's something beautiful about that as well.
That was what it was like in India for me.
Mm.
Got dissolved into the group, became part of the group.
But at the same time, did it feel very like rewarding and joyful? Mm.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's something a part of me really craves to experience as well. That.
Saying it was great, but it was hard at the same time.
Mm.
Getting used to the environment and trying to meditate was really hard. I'm so used to meditating in silence. And then you go to somewhere like India. The smells, the sounds, the sights.
It's very romantic in a certain way. Very, very romantic. But in going there, it's horrible. Very horrible. But there's a lot of living to do. There's almost too much living to do there, is how, like in the bush, there's a lot of living, but certainly not too much. But in the Tabarwa, there's too much living to do. And you're constantly overwhelmed by the access to doing good deeds and whatever,
That's what I was thinking about in the car. Was like, there's a kind of a deeper or increased willingness to do more good deeds, but it's kind of like, I just feel like there's no accessibility in Sydney. Like, I could maybe go to like, I don't know, a meditation retreat or monastery somewhere in the Blue Mountains or whatever, and help clean the dishes or something. But that just feels a bit inaccessible for me. It's like it almost seems like because I would imagine that if people needed other people to do more good deeds, it would be abundantly advertised in a way, but it doesn't seem that way.
Tough, very tough situation. But you have to detach from your life, actually. If you want your Dharma eye, your wisdom eye to open, you have to detach from your life. You have to sacrifice your life. So we say, sacrifice my life to who? But that's the action of sacrificing your life, is the dissolution of you, or who. Who becomes irrelevant. It's just, how can I give up my life? How can I give up everything and all the expectations and all the people that have ideas about me and everything. You give all that up to find the divine, or to find the true mind, instead of just to relax or just to enjoy. Just feeding the self idea more and more and more, because what is the self? It's going to be difficult to ask that question when there are a lot of people telling you who you are. So the question of what is the self, or what is separation, is just irrelevant in that situation, in the wrong way. So, you have to give up, you have to be willing to give up everything to get everything, for sure. The view of everything, or the view of not someone, not something, not somewhere. Otherwise the Buddha wouldn't have started a monastic community. The Buddha would have just rode around and done little road shows and little teachings to people here and there, and he would have built a fucking house really quickly, because all these people wanted to support him and all that stuff, right? So, the Buddha, you have to abandon your life. You have to renounce your life. It's the same with all those nuns in there that are experiencing the happiness or the unconditional mind power, is because they've abandoned their lives. You say, well, this has become your life. Yeah, but this is a life about abandoning our lives, abandoning our identity. And a lot of patience. Yeah, you need a lot of patience, but a lot of willingness too, because the thing is that you get all these fucking privileged, fucking white, fucking trash head, ego pieces of trash that say, well, you gotta be careful, and who is this person, and what's going on over there, and you need to think about your retirement. But these are the descendants of the genociders and the colonizers, rapists of the white race, and whoever, the male patriarchal race. So when it really gets down to it, you're gonna die, and your family's gonna die, and your children are gonna die, and everyone that you love is gonna die. That's the truth. So if you're approaching a contemplative path, you have to be able to chew on that truth. And especially if your life is sick, or you emphasize strength, maybe it's both, putting it on the table that, hey, if you really want the meat of you and the Buddha to meet, then you have to be ready to sacrifice your life and your identity and your views, the confusion of perception, the poison of perception. And all these things that you're holding on to are facilitating your perception. So actually this is a spontaneous, instantaneous thing that's not about this place or that place. But who's going to tell you that you can't consider about what you do, That you can't consider about giving up what you're doing fully and doing something else.
Would you say that when you say sacrificing yourself would be synonymous from detaching from your self-narrative?
Jesus, yeah, it's synonymous, but it's Jesus too, Jesus was even the Son of God, but he had to get the enlightenment. So if even Jesus had to crucify himself, if even Siddhartha Gautama had to abandon his kingdom and his life, and even became a meditation master and still didn't get it, what do you think you're going to have to do?
But what about detaching from that idea of detachment itself?
I don't know. That's where you got to listen to the Dharma masters, We're ready to be convinced. We're ready to convince ourselves about anything. That the tea is good or bad, or that it came from here or there, or that, this is green and this is, this is good and this is bad, and this is what happened yesterday and this is what happened tomorrow. But none of that is really in the immediate experience, besides what is there that's passing away, and then, coming again, something else coming again. So, you know, your whole situation is going to get fucked up for sure. Your whole situation is going to get fucked up for sure. So what are you going to do about that? People say, but my parents, but my degree, but. You're just whining about nonsense while there are people in India or people in Sri Lanka eating cow shit and eating whatever the hell they can get their hands on and riding some train for a nickel and a dime to get where they're going. And you're whining about that your life's not going to be the way, you know, your retirement plan's not going to work out. You can't even live as you are, and you're worried about your retirement plan. So this is a premise and a principle of using everything that we have as much as we can to help the others. In our way of doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. And this detachment has a quality of genuineness, and it also has a quality of diligence. It's not just, oh, I detached from that, I detached from that. It's more the consistency of immediacy is where detachment is kind of taking place. So your consistency of relationship with immediacy that's got nothing to do with nothing is like that expression of detachment. It's not about I detached from this, I abandoned this. You're going to sound like a Looney Tune talking like that. You know, that's a joke. More than anything else. That's just a joke.
In India, I learned how to detach really quickly, like straight up, because I would have been really stressed.
Yeah. You've got to let go.
It taught me to detach.
You've got to let go.
Every situation, every moment. Oh, it's really hot. Oh, I didn't get enough food to eat today. I didn't whinge or whine about it. Jumping in the deep end, it just helped me detach from myself. If you detach from detaching, then are you back to the start again? Back to
Detach from the detachment is for the blessers, not for the thinkers or the managers or the controllers, etc. If you're giving the blessing, then you have to detach from the precept or detach from the detachment itself or beyond the beyond itself, not fixating, not clinging on anything. But what is your consistency of alignment with non-thinking or, you know, not someone? So that's where the detachment is. And then your life will begin to express that. You kind of begin finding yourself in situations that don't have anything to do with you. There's a you-lessness to your arriving and your experiencing, you know, this just way, and then you can have a big experience of that, you know, but mostly not when there's all these constructs around you. And also this colonizing mindset, this self-convincing mindset of you know, convincing yourself that you're a man or a woman or a helicopter or all these different things, you know, that you might convince yourself that you are, is actually very powerful when that notion of self is so strong and that privilege, growing up privileged, is so strong. So you can have whatever you want. I mean, what can you possibly want that you can't have when it comes to your identity? Nothing. So whatever you get a hold of, your identity is going to try to convince yourself that you have that. You know, but this is something that your identity can't grasp. It's the dissolution of your identity. It's the dissolution of the possibility of getting. It's the dissolution of thoughts that arise and disappear without creating an identity about them. And the consistency of alignment with that, you're going to need some meditation. You're going to need some samadhi for that to align more. You have to develop your samadhi. And the meditation retreats or the meditation tours or whatever is, one of the best ways that we get to start exercising our samadhi, especially our unconditional samadhi, our samadhi in motion, which maybe you don't get to exercise in just staying in one place. Because it's a lot about enduring, enduring unconditional unpleasantness or unsatisfiedness. But all those things that you think satisfy you, it's just your ego playing a game. It's just the self playing a trick. I'm satisfied. But that is not going to stay satisfied. Maybe we hop inside. It's a little bit of cold.
Yeah, so I put my socks
Ooh. Australia is one of the coldest places I've been to in a while.
You didn't feel hot in the outback though?
Just a little bit. But I've got some experience with just that real nonstop continuous heat.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get into a flow with that kind of heat, like being in a sauna or something.
Well, it's not meant to be this cold.
Yeah, that's what all the Australians say once you get here.
Global warming. I mean, global
Yeah.
cooling. This is coming from Antarctica.
This is a funny cup. In case I haven't told you.
I don't usually tell anyone I'm vegan, when they start talking about meat products or whatever. I just go, oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that no more.
No, I just. No, well, sometimes I get gifts at work. I get chocolate.
Mm.
And I just take it anyway. I receive it anyway.
Mm.
And I give it to somebody else eventually. But they don't say, oh, I can't. No, I can't
Hey,
accept
good.
that
We got a
because
good
I'm
upload
vegan.
speed, eh?
Let me know if you need any help with prep or anything.
So we do have an update,
Make,
some exciting news.
potato salad.
We have ordered a computer for the Monk Life meditation community live streams and activities. So this is going to be integral to establishing the Monk Life Meditation Institute and also creating some more quality visual experiences in our live sessions together. So
You can move the
we can all thank the Black Friday sale in Australia for this opportunity to purchase the laptop. That's right. Well, Megan, I learned my teachings from being a monk for 7 years and being a meditator and Dharma seeker, spiritual seeker for more than 10 years, starting when I was 20, 19, 20, and now being 32, so well over a decade, and then having these chances to study with the meditation masters directly and being informed by enlightened Buddhist meditation masters all around the world, as well as people like Jim Newman and who knows, possibly Vishrant.
I don't know what's going on with the toilet, Shelly, but the flush isn't working.
Oh, it's because if you, it's probably on the bidet.
Just don't think about it too much. Most of our thoughts are just causing more and more problems. So if you can not think, then you can actually see someone and experience someone how they are directly. That's right. That's right, Megan. That's right.
Should we maybe turn off the sort of lead?
Yeah, if you press the buttons for too long, I think that happens. You just go like that.
Yeah.
Just be natural. No need to think about it. You've thought for too long. Now it's time to stop thinking once and for all. Is that understood? You come here to this live stream, then do not think. You put on your jacket, Chanath. You put on your boots. You go and walk, you lazy bum. I'll have you arrested, Chanath, for failure to detach, failure to abandon, failure to renounce, failure to bless. You'll be arrested on all charges. Is that what you want, Chanath? Yeah, Chanath, you can also get the quality where you're looking for too much. You have all this desire, you have all this want for all this enlightenment, for all this good situation, but that can make you very ungrateful for what you already have. It's good if we can sit here and experience gratitude for the opportunity to practice. Good to hear that, Will Rose. Well, you're welcome here. Hopefully you can spread some of that 200K a year my way. We've had a number of baths already here in Australia. More than one. You know, and Will Ross, it doesn't really matter how much you make. You could make $1 billion a year. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to make you a good father, a good person, good partner. A lot of the wealthiest people in the world are destroying the planet and have certainly destroyed their own families. Well, that's what a lot of people think, isn't it? They think this is a little bit of a fun time adventure, a kind of a travel vlog. But the matter of fact is that this is a life and death situation. This is a very serious situation. And my time is too valuable to just go over to New Zealand for a little bit of a vacation. That's very insulting, actually. You, of all people, should know how busy I am with my work. Come to New Zealand next. I'm not a touring fool. I'm sorry to hear that, Janath. If you're looking to go very high, Chanath, and think very high, then you're going to think very low as well, think very bad as well. So just sit here now and meditate with it. You know how to meditate, don't you? Sit there and face it and breathe with it and endure and stop feeding your thoughts about the situation, about what's going on. You know, we're not going to become Christian here. We're not here to become Christian or to find a new religion. We're here to practice what we have on the table here more deeply, more seriously. Sit up straight, cross your legs, stop complaining, and get through it. And endure and face it down. Like a snake. All this suffering, all this ego that you're talking about, Shanath, all this story that you're talking about is like a snake that's coiled up in front of you, about to strike. All you can do is meditate through it at this point. You can't solve it, you can't fix it, you can't make the snake not a snake. Just sit there and face it. And endure. Sit full lotus. But we're not here to learn about Islam as much as we're here to learn about the silence in resting. The silence that is so integral to our self and to our identity, but we didn't listen, so we didn't know about it. We didn't know about the silence inside. And we always making more and more mistake, more and more problem. We didn't listen. So now is the time of listening, the time of great listening, true listening, healing listening. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. I am home. Silence speaks. You're gonna need to get it together. Speaking a little bit out of turn here. We didn't receive enough donations to continue the Australian accent. And in a very real sense, we is a weed because it promotes the sense of separate selves. And you do have a self in terms of you, in terms of your life. You definitely experience yourself. So the path, practice, meditation is not what you're willing to get from it, but what you're willing to give from it. Travel Life and Dope Label, please make a donation today. Don't just be a taker, be a giver. Breathe and listen. What do you hear? What is heard? Breathe breathing. Don't try to fight. Don't try to control the mind. Don't try to get to some kind of destination. Just be awake and allow. Allow the confusion of perception to come to an end. Allow the confusion of involvement with various thoughts to come to an end. Whatever it is, just allow it. If it's there, you can't not allow it. So do it. Allow, flow, be open. Relax to the max. Namo Ayira Pa 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 Namo Ayirafon. Namo Ayirafon. Namo Ayirafon. Namo Ayirafon.
On self is, may it be released. Wherever emotional discombobulation is prevalent, may that discombobulation come to.
If you're gracious, let's see some gratitude, if you know what I mean.
Arrest.
Not an easy life, but life doesn't need to be easy to be worthwhile. You know, maybe there's too much fixation on this idea of easiness.
That, and then all the people around, they say, what the heck, we hate this guy was a monster all along, he was a bad guy all along, etc., etc. And then Sweet Mask, kind of the on self is, may it be released. Wherever emotional discombobulation is
Because
may that
you think you know yourself. That's your problem. You think that you know yourself. Theodore.
may that discombobulation come to a rest.
Big Jim Colley says he doesn't like to eat on an empty stomach, so you'll find no cornflakes on his table. He starts the day as he means to continue, with a wee dram. He lives alone in a tin-roofed bothy in the foothills of the Cairngorms. It's always like this before he makes one of his famous visits to Braemar. That town's over 60 miles away by road, but Jim knows a shortcut. The Larrig Grue, the highest pass and the highest mountain range in Britain. This way, it's only 22 miles to Braemar. To get there, however, you've got to cross some of the wildest and most intractable terrain in Scotland. But the Larrig holds no horrors for him. After all, as everyone in these parts knows, he's got his own secret weapon. Alaric Flyer. That's what the locals have christened Jim's old bone shaker. This time he's off to visit Annie McDougall, the widow of an old mate who died 3 years ago. Sometimes it's to see them tossing the caber at the Braemar Games. You could say he only goes when the spirit moves him. And talk.
Yeah.
Is there a time skip? Are we live currently?
Did you do the friends? What? Oh, what? Really? Oh, there you go. Oh. Just what we hope for her is not to get in the wrong people, the wrong crowd sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all it, that's all about.
Jim finally.
No, they did go watch it. What did you do? You having a day off or? Oh, it's Sunday. You got tomorrow off. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, you built for weekend? Oh, have you? Oh, that's good.
Are these people all here right now? No.
Well, this one, I'm almost there at work. Okay. And then, also, community, so you just, if you want anything, you can't, you gotta accept it. Yeah. And then that creates, whatever it is, in the workplace, especially in the workplace, it's really hard. Because you're stuck with somebody else, you're like, you don't like a lot of people, you don't like a lot of people.
into the void, when's the last time you made a sizable financial contribution to this work rather than just yapping your mouth in the chat? The door's open, Kira. You get back what you give. So how much are you giving to your practice? As long as you're here practicing and listening deeply in that way, there's no deeper communication that can be taking place, right? So I'm going to keep trying to hold up my end of the bargain, and everyone else keep trying to hold up their end of the bargain, and try to support so that we can be supported. Does that make sense? So we don't need a self and another and a duality there. You can kind of feel into something like that. So we keep going in that direction. That's it. Best as we can. This isn't about making money. This is about freedom from suffering, making the ending of suffering. So as long as everybody's, giving and participating with that, then the communication is taking place. Not only for each other, but for the world, the global situation. So if you're here, I'm glad you're here, but please ask yourself, when is the last time I made a sizable financial contribution to the Monk Life Meditation Institute and the work taking place there? And there's going to be a lot of changes and offerings and new happenings coming up as the time goes by. So it's one thing to have access to resources, it's a whole other thing to be quiescent, stopped, slowed, relaxed enough to then actually make use of those resources, make use of that Dhamma. We can't just study and we can't just practice and we can't just do it alone. We got to get our head out of the clouds when it comes to enlightenment and freedom from suffering and the secret teachings, the secret esoteric teachings and the secret path. Yeah, exactly. Give what you can with no explanation. And of course, the bigger the better. But, we take it step by step. And life doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes we're middle of the road income or middle of the road kind of person, and we'd like to have a lot more, and we'd like to be, no pun intended, a big swinging dick, but we're just, that's not the kind of life that we live. So we give what we can without expectation. We practice where and when we can without expectation. We share and we listen deeply where and when we can without expectation. And we keep doing that. We keep doing that. Oh, I made a video in 4K on my iPhone and I posted it and I barely got 200 some views. Well, who cares? Keep moving on. One person, if we can help just one person, if we can have just one teacher, if we can have just one student, if we can have just one member of our community That's worthwhile. That's going to keep us alive. That's going to keep us on the path. That's going to keep us concerned with the path. My work here nowadays is to use the great sieve, because not a lot of people are going to be able to tune in and connect with this work, because this is hardcore. This is the deep stuff. This is the high level stuff. I know that I'm kind of a loser and I don't have many followers and my YouTube channel's kind of shit and all that, and I don't sell a course, and I'm, a skip and a hop away from being in poverty myself, and most of my students, are impoverished women and former drug addicts or current drug addicts. I know, but I'm the one who was a Buddhist monk for 7 years. Okay? You find the $5,000 Bali 3-day sex retreat, okay? And that guy's had been a Buddhist monk for 3 months, okay? Did a little camping trip with some monks, all right? So this is the high tier practice and experience sharing, and 7 years is a long time, and I've taken this very seriously. So, whatever you can offer, however you can support, it is very meaningful, and so it's nice to have this space. And I know that we kind of get tricked with the algorithm, because the 23 people. There's not 23 people here watching, but let's just pretend that there are. There's certainly 23 likes. So, but just that one person, that one-to-one connection, that's what it's all about. That's right. It's deeper than lust. What could be deeper than lust? So, it's a hard journey. It's a child's journey to freedom from indoctrination and unindoctrination of the doctrination that's taken place. But this is the box. This is the box that I am most interested in penetrating. This is the box of, this is it. I've taken ayahuasca many times, but this isn't about ayahuasca. And people say, you've got a healthy body, why don't you get to work? Why don't you go to work? You need to take care of yourself, get to work. And I tell those people, I am a professional beggar. This is my work. And if someone's not willing to have a conversation, then fuck those people. Get them out of here. Throw them in the trash, burn them. A fair conversation. This is also all about fairness. And the ending of fairness, and the irrelevance of fairness, and fuck you, pay me, I deserve it. I'm your teacher, for God's sakes. How much have I given you? You put some fucking money in my pocket, goddammit. And it's not just our money, but it's our heart and our body and mind, and it's testing ourselves. Our surrender, our sacrifice. And, burning ourselves, identifying ourselves as the witch. You are the witch. I am the warlock. And we deserve to be burned. Or you're a warlock too. We deserve to be burned. This identity, this self-fixation, burn it. And you can't share that burning with anybody else. Mama, Papa, Dr. Rob, you didn't say I'd be burned at the stake for practicing meditation seriously. I'm sorry, bud. Thanks for the donations. And then you burn to dust. And you will be reborn again new as a phoenix. Or you won't. Maybe you'll just go to hell. be there for a long time. But nothing is permanent.
I have breakfast, which is a smoothie,
There is no ownership.
and then I just have the lunch. I'm used to it now. I'm like 60 kilos, so it's my natural weight.
People don't think about this, but I could go to India and be a very famous man.
It is.
Acting in Bollywood or being a nude guru for the Indian people, a nude white guru. But instead, I'm here slumming it with the people of YouTube, with the privileged people of the world. Well, that's what we do when we endure. Actually, Papa, you can't do that. Now, what arises and what passes away, specifically what arises, because everything passes away, what you're talking about is what arises, is what you feed. So let's say you hate Donald Trump or you hate this thing that you did in the past. You're feeding that thing. You're feeding that aspect of your identity with the rejection. So we learn instead to be more giving, to activate this automatic quality of giving up what it is that we're holding on to. And we start with something small and accessible, like giving what's easy for us to give. And once you get acquainted with that, then you can start to give up your views, your perceptions about yourself, about the world, about relationships with others, about what's happening. And anyway, as you give up, you give away, you don't involve so much with things that appear because you know intuitively the impermanence of whatever it is that you hold on to, then those things never arise again eventually. The process, they arise less and less, you're less stimulated, less attached to those arisings, then those things never arise again, period. And in the meantime, we do good deeds to dilute the water. Imagine if you had a bucket with a pound of salt, a bucket of water with a pound of salt in it. And so the salt is your bad deeds, and the water is your good deeds. So take a sip of that bucket, the current bucket that you have. How salty is that? Well, yeah, you don't have to tell me. Very salty. So we say, fuck this, and we start pouring water. We make water. We're making water here. We're water makers. Okay, this is water making. And we make the water and we dilute the salt, and then you got a big bucket or a bathtub full of that shit or whatever, and it's less salty, and eventually you can actually drink yourself. Eventually all you'd want to drink is yourself, your own experience. And that gratitude for the water and for the water making actually allows us to enter into meditation naturally. Gratitude for all the good deeds that we've done. But, this is you better get hardcore about not masturbating or feeling regret about masturbating, whatever, but hardcore about doing more and more good deeds, to exhaust yourself, to exhaust your identity in doing good deeds, actually. Because otherwise, then you just waste that time, or it becomes the space where your defilements and your negativities and your self-clinging and self-involvement can grow and continue developing. So we want to cut that out. We want to, I'm just thinking of a blade on my skin and showing the blood of being willing to sacrifice your view, your perception, your belief, your story. But we're not going to be able to just meditate all the time. So we actually have to use that modality of doing good deeds more and more. And it can be very simple. If you're a crazy person, most of the people that follow me are just crazy people, crazy poor people. You know, you live in a fucking crazy shitty house too, because you're so crazy. Everything's dirty and stinky. Your toilet's dirty. Your bathtub's dirty. Everything's a mess. You get that person to say, hey, wait a minute, start doing good deeds. Clean up that fucking house. Not because you need a clean house, but because it's something for you to exploit to make merits, to do good deeds, to do this action of generosity, this action of giving. Why is it an action of giving? Because you usually don't clean. You let everything be dirty. You let everything be shitty. So you have to give up your letting or your allowing of shittiness to go and clean, or your laziness or whatever. And what we're working with here, everybody, just to be clear, just to be upfront and be kind of vulnerable with everybody here, we're working with the desire for sensuality. We're working with ill will. This is also blaming people and making stories out of people, you know, that they didn't deserve that, or they did deserve that, or whatever. Any kind of negativity. And this is also our frustration, our deep inner frustration about what's going on or who we are. And also all these things that we don't want to experience. Now, I was talking with Aditya, who's a young man from Sydney and raised with the finest cloths and educational parents and a savant, genius level intellect brother. So this is a man who's grown up with a good conditions, and so this ill will, this aversion, it's there, but you might not be able to recognize it because you've been in these environments, in these situations that are very comfortable. So you don't see how much aversion or how much affinity you have towards that aversion, towards, I don't want to experience that, I don't want to experience it. Well, you are experiencing that. And you're not wanting to experience that, or wanting it to be a different way, is irrelevant to that experience happening. Sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, this lack of energy, including mental dullness and physical laziness. Well, what is there to do? You're gonna, I've got to get my energy up so I can go and masturbate. Well, that's not going to work out, then you're going to be tired. So we need the access to doing good deeds more and more. We need to exploit the needs of others. Many people here in this community have a need to donate. They have a need to make merit, concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So I'm here to exploit that and to encourage that. I will crucify myself on the reception of receiving your donation. So this lack of energy, we need to find conditions and supportive environments and supportive situations and people to say, look, get your ass moving, get that energy going. So how do I do that? Well, I have my live streaming work, my Dhamma teaching work, and that gets me just a little bit towards out of that sloth and torpor. Concerned with the path. That's what these 5 hindrances are concerned for. So we can colonize one part of this and say, oh yeah, sloth and torpor bad. That's nothing to do with Buddha. But this is directly have to do with the awakening. The restlessness and the worry, the agitation, the anxiety. Chanath is a good member of this community. He's always whining. I'm agitated. I don't have energy. I don't want it to be this way. I want to have a good experience. And doubtful as well. This guy's overrun with these 5 hindrances. Doubt. It's a skeptical uncertainty or lack of confidence in oneself or the practice. Look, this is what you're doing. This is what you're experiencing. So your skepticism about it is just intellectual rumination. Either you want to do it and you want to try, or you don't. This skeptical uncertainty, this intellectual uncertainty, or this lack of confidence to apply yourself or to practice is just wasted energy, wasted time, wasted thinking. So this doubt can apply to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You go there and you have a skeptical uncertainty of if Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu works or not. What a fucking retard you are, okay? Or you have a lack of confidence in oneself to do that, or a lack of confidence in the practice that can develop that. So this is all just doubt. This is wrong doubt. Right doubt is a sense of wonder, a sense of not being attached to perceptions or to views. So all of these are the 5 hindrances. These are the mental obstacles to achieve clarity and concentration. These are the hindrances that keep you away from the enlightened mind or the enlightened perspective and view. And what are you going to do about it? You know, these hinder progress in meditation and in daily life. These are the hindrances to samadhi. This is the hindrances to the absorption into meditation. And I'll put another one of those hindrances in there. It's being too shy. It's being scared and shy to expose yourself. You have to be willing to expose yourself. You have to be willing to speak up. You have to be willing to share. Okay? I'm not going to believe by the disassociated, brain-dead zombies that scroll through YouTube, all the thousands of people that have come across me, to say that I'm not a real person that has real, interesting experiences to share. So it's their fault. They are to blame for not being open enough and being too shy and being too scared to share and to give, to listen deeply and to share deeply. It's a very small amount of people that are willing to do that. It's not about if they're interested in this or not, because they don't know what this is. And you say, well, wait a minute, Dr. Rob. People are very curious. People are interested, but they're not. They're interested in fucking McDonald's and the movie theater and fucking, buying things at the shopping mall. And then we say, yeah, that's right. They're like that and I'm not. No, you're the biggest fucking zombie in the room. You're the biggest loser in the room. That's taking responsibility for the mind field. The mind field of yourself that's based on all these hindrances. So it's really the people that are sick and poor and disabled and crazy that come in here because they can't get themselves to the McDonald's. They're in a wheelchair. Or they can't have social experiences at the bar because once they drink, they have schizophrenic meltdowns. They have anxiety attacks. They're too depressed to get out of the house, so they come here. More power to them. I've got a lot of gratitude for that. We say, how can you say that about people? What are you trying to say? Don't try to say my disabled, poor, crazy, schizophrenic, depressed, anxious followers have something wrong with them, okay? We all have something wrong with us in that we're not free, that we're not deep, that we're not enlightened, we're not powerful. Powerful in the way of relieving and ending and cutting this contraction of suffering and this contraction of self. I don't care what you've seen, thanks a lot. You make a sizable financial donation and contribution, or you shut your trap and you listen. All right? So there's a process. This is a process unfolding here. This is a process unfolding here. Well, you're listening, but you're not donating. God damn it. And this is a process that I'm also in and on. And it is a process of self-sacrifice and making donation and surrender, whether we like it or not. Oftentimes when I'm going live, it's not because I want to go live, it's because there's an opportunity there for me to donate this body and mind. And if that makes you uncomfortable, that means that it's correct. You know, all these people in Bali and these Kundalini sex retreats wearing fancy clothes with dreadlocks, put them in a room with a person with a disability and say, get ready to wipe their ass. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm just as good as a retarded person. I'm just as good as a person with a disability. I'm just as good as a pig waiting for slaughter. And I've got an ass that needs to be wiped. And that's even better. That opportunity for you to wipe my ass or to meditation is even better because I am well known to be concerned with the path to the ending of suffering.
So you're all on the same page.
Well known. It's well documented.
You know, I know, Liverpool,
Nobody's going to tell me what to do, okay?
stealing from other
If you want to tell me what to do, chain me up, call the police, whip me, torture me. I'll do what you want me to do. In the same way, making substantial financial contributions. I'll do what you want me to do.
Hey?
But otherwise, don't you ever tell me what to do. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a person with a disability. That's your first confusion. The second thing is seeing retarded as being something that inherently has to do with people with disabilities. I've been involved in taking back that word, you know, for a considerable amount of time. We're not going to go so much into phonetics, but what I'm trying to say here is that you shut your fucking mouth or you make a donation. Up to you. No in betweens.
Always renew it before the date, before the end date. Otherwise, it costs you more money. So that's why it's going to cost your mum more money because renewed. I mean, she's probably not going to go anywhere, but just.
Or call in on WhatsApp. You have something to say. If you're a smart person.
That's just stupid. You know, I thought they wanted people in the army. You know, and they make it really hard for younger people like you. I thought they were like trying to recruit people. They're trying to recruit people to be police. But, really? Well, was she born in Australia?
More and more patience, more and more not seeking, more and more not finding, more and more dropping the confusion of perception.
Yeah, but you were born in Australia. What's the problem? And you're over 18.
Instead of I am perceiving this, no I. No self, no perceiving.
That's so weird though. Yeah. Well, do you still want to be in though? Or you just given up?
And when it comes down to
You
it,
still want to go into the army?
this is all about me. This is all about my life,
Yeah, well,
not your life.
you have a passport then.
This is my body, not your body.
It's a
This is my YouTube channel, my teachings, not your teachings.
Yeah, you can get your own.
And once we can accept the minus of our life and ourselves, that's when we can be truly generous and truly clear-minded and stable, balanced in our way of ego acting, ego interacting. There's nothing vague about this ideal, just like, don't you ever try to take my body away from me. How dare you even think about taking my body away from me? But we live in a world of rape, We live in a world of forced labor. We live in a world of slavery. We live in a world of childism and all those things going together, child slaves, everything. So you have to take responsibility for your, and that is where you give from. Your independence, your individuation. That is where you donate from. That is where you offer from. That is where you listen deeply from. That is where you share deeply from.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you're a terrorist.
Trevor Bridge is a terrorist.
Is that the first, whatever first, I'll be dead. What did you think? Oh, what did you think, DJ? Person. Yeah, but it does look like, yeah, but does he look like you? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's up to him.
Probably if you sent it, Tiger.
You can't, you know, you can, oh, yes. Yeah. Very sad. Very sad. What'd you dial? Oh, why? Oh, okay.
Well, you have to practice, Tiger, with the Bahia Sutta. In seeing, stop conceiving about what is seen. In hearing, stop conceiving about what is heard. In thinking, stop conceiving about what is thought. Sit there and cross your legs until you have an emotional, psychological breakdown, and then relax. Let's do a Dharma talk. Focus.
But did he get it? What was, that means he's not like the king of the island? Bugger.
It can be difficult, but it's very worth it.
No, this is a white man, that's why. He was,
See without thinking about what is seen. Hear without thinking about what is heard. Experience the body, experience pain without thinking about that experience, that pain. Just experience it. Sit there and breathe and experience. Rough and tough. Strong, brave. And yeah, relax to the max, but if you're not upright, if you're not wakeful, if you're not present, then how can you really relax to the max? If you're not fully there, if your presence isn't maxed out. And take a rest as well. Under the refuge of your great spiritual guru and master, you sit under the tree of his presence and his compassion and wisdom and rest. But certainly don't just sit there thinking about things, going from this to that. Let the pain heal you. Let the pain be healing itself. Panther Wakanda, let's put that Namo Buddhaya on the back of a $50 bill or a $100 bill. Let's not just get some W's in chat, let's get some donations in chat as well. If you put a sizable donation, Mithrid, then you will have all the words you would like about Leo for the upcoming year. Can people here see this little image or not? Can you see what that says? They can see it. What's the party button? I'll put it over there then. I don't want to block the party button, whatever that is. Ajahn Brahm said, call the bluff of pain. With kindness, kindfulness. Can we be kind to pain? Do we dare to offer kindness to pain, or is our ego in the way? Is our ego disallowing us from offering kindness to pain? Maybe pain needs kindness. Maybe pain is asking for kindness, so just give it. Might as well try a little bit instead of blowing your brains out. And people who do that, they're lost in selfishness, They don't listen. You can't blame the world and blame all the people around them. A certain time, people got to take accountability. Doesn't matter how much they're whining and whinging. What are we supposed to do? Hold a parade every time somebody tries to destroy their body or to blow their brains out? Come on. Let's get real. Offer kindness, kindfulness, kind awareness to pain, extreme pain. That's the kind of pain that needs that kindness, that awareness.
Well, that's what happens to many people. They retreat.
Call the bluff of pain.
Not being racist.
Call the bluff. Call in on WhatsApp if you dare. How generous are you? How much can you donate? Can you donate the giving away of aversion? Of your tendency to avoid what you don't want to experience? Moment by moment. Very quickly. It's all happening very, very quickly. Right now, there's a screaming, burning pain in the body that I'm experiencing. And I dare to give, to sacrifice the avoidance and to give the kindfulness to that screaming, yelling pain. That pain that says, no, 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 go away, hot, 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 hot. Burning, hot, on fire. I'm in incredible pain. This is incredible pain. This is horrible, incredible pain. But I'm daring to give it that quick kindfulness and to endure and to be with it. You know? Nobody cares. Nobody cares that I'm enduring this pain, but I still dare to do it. I still dare to give. It's burning. Focus right in on that pain. Focus right in on that negative aspect. It's not indigestion, Poppy. Now, Poppy, you're giving me more pain to deal with. For me, explaining this is distracting me and making that pain burn like a fire. When you sit cross-legged, certain points in your legs or on your foot or in your knee or whatever will basically catch on fire and it will burn like all hell. That's what's happening right now with me.
And you're like, oh, I might as well just kill myself. But if you get through that pain, it's not so bad. It's not all about trying to get rid of it.
What's that pain saying to me? What's that pain trying to teach me?
That's it, you know. I always want to kill yourself just because of an emotion. It's an emotion, right? But it's an emotion that takes over. Or they feel like they're a burden, you know. That's a different type of, that's a different way of thinking though, but, yeah, it's, it's not selfish, because it takes a lot of guts to kill yourself, I tell you. You would know, it takes a lot of guts.
It literally feels like there's a fire
It's hard to put other people in,
on the inside
it's not selfish, because
heel
it's a mental.
of my foot. Hey, wanama. Burning, burning, fire, fire. Hot, 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 hot. Please go away, please go away, please go away, please go away. But it won't go away. It won't go away. That burning hot fire, that burning hot pain. Go away, go away, go away, go away. But it won't go away.
Well, I've been in those thoughts, I've had those thoughts before, but they go away, everyone has. They do go away. You have to really have them. Oh, good, now you sound like you're enlightened.
Oh,
Yeah, what happened? What happened? You didn't go on a meditation or retreat, you just went on a holiday.
so this is what you have to do. This is how you have to practice meditation. Sit there with fucking horrible burning pain. On and on and on and on. Do you want to do that? Then you have to be a donor. You have to be a precept holder. You have to be a Dharma talk listener. Burning, burning, horrible pain. Oh, and then it disappears. So then you take a break and you can go back and you can eat more pain, eat more aversion. You actually face and experience the mind directly, intimately, subtly, not just through this construct of thoughts and stories. These constructs of thoughts and stories become so clearly irrelevant when you actually sit still and face your mind and face your direct experience. This is about pressure points forming. This is about when you sit still, the body will start to hurt. Not about a particular injury or anything like that. You sit still cross-legged, you'll experience extreme uncomfortableness and pain. Incredible, horrible pain.
My sister is. Yeah, I have to find my father.
And if you're a real meditation master, unlike me, you can just sit there and watch the pain. You're not affected by pain. You're not controlled by pain. You're not controlled by the appearance of pain. So you have to experiment. And then if you really sit there and endure, then you'll defeat the pain. You'll win. So I've won before, but I didn't win this time. Too painful. Too horrible, too unpleasant, too unnecessary. But then there can be a sense of missing that pain, missing that intimacy, missing that intensity. So it's just all this clinging, chasing, right? If you're chasing to get away from the pain, then you're not really truly enduring and detaching from that pain. True detachment is like a power. It's like compassion itself. It's magical. It's transcendental, transformational. It's not something that you do, that you say, I'm detached. It'd be smarter to say, I'm an idiot. Which is true.
I used chicken poo, yeah. No, I used sheep poo. I didn't use chicken poo, I just used one type of poo. expensive. Walrus is so expensive. Lately, they're really expensive here. And, especially cucumber. No, capsicum. Capsicum. No, I can't do all that. I can't see videos on my phone either. What's the other stuff? I thought it was in the story or something. I saw them on phones. And then, try to say, make it stop. The old one, I don't know. It's there. It's just really sort of falling apart, or sort of fluffy. Well, it's still potato salad. It's just a little bit smushed. Hey? Oh, they've smoked vegan mayonnaise, which is bloody delicious. No, it's disgusting. I don't like praise. No, I tried to praise vegan mayo and I didn't like it, so I just decided not to eat. Oh, okay. I will try it then. learning on that when I was young. Just was. Thanks. Thanks, Guru Woolworths. The Woolworths Guru. Oh, I just realized I was supposed to, well, I was supposed to, I said I'm gonna go and do a meditation Zoom, like right now, I'm late. You too.
karmic difficulties of all the bodhisattvas and their embodiments, all the conflicts, having war among one another, leading the followers to be in difficulties as well. Everything ahosi, ahosi, ahosi. Help end the ending altogether. Help free from the freedom altogether. Help liberate from the liberation altogether. Just bless those who remain, who have great blessed fortune and follow the bodhisattvas. They are the followers. They have the perfection of following. There are a lot of them that have left behind. The leaders have the blessed fortune of the bodhisattvas. They can come and go. They are not stuck with one place by a sum up of birth, aging, illness, and death. They can come and go because of their great blessed fortune. On the contrary, those who are the followers, who are not the leaders, they only emphasize on their emotions. The emotions that remaining from war, they are still having vengeance and the mind that want to get back. This is the mind of the followers. They cannot going anywhere. It's stuck and stagnant. The leaders have the mind that's more expansive. It's too specific. Therefore, the mind is not stagnant with just anything. Therefore, we have to go back and help them, the followers, whether they are the followers or not, if they still have left behind. They are the realms of existence that are in difficulties. They are not clear. Their mind is stagnant. They are blocked within one place. So help release and relax altogether, ahosi, and unlock karma to help one another. Sharing the perfection to stimulate their power to enable to leave the place. So diligently help them. If they haven't be humbly pay respect to the Buddhas, Bodhisattva, Mahabodhisattvas, the Arahants, Maha-Arahants. So just offer them. Don't wait for them to search for the grace of the triple gems in whatever ways. Don't let them just search in their own ways or methods. All those low realms of existence, they are stuck in one place, in their own place. So just use the reminders, humbly use the reminders accordingly. Follow the essence of the great perfections. Be part of the essence. If they can get out of your mind, get out. There is no regretful. Nothing is regretful. Everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Any state of mind is not regretful at all. Help brighten out. Help release and relax. Release from the release is the utmost already for all beings. Instead of being stagnant in one's own realms of existence, help brighten out for all realms. This is the greatest, the utmost to help all beings, all realms of existence, instead of being stuck in a place or within something, being narrow and limited. Just one place in one period of time or for a long period of time, for across lifetimes. So don't be regretful. Everything is anatta, anicca in itself. So there is no need to be regretful. Think of out of the out. Think of not grasping, even the not grasping, renouncing, even from the renouncing. Everything is from not grasping, either grasping or not grasping, all the same, no matter what. Everything is not attached to either attachment or non-attachment, all the same. There is nothing that is regretful and nothing to linger with it. Every moment, every split second is anicca, dukkha, anatta. It's all the time like that. There is nothing that is regretful. All these days, there is just deluded to grasp, being deluded to be, to have, to become. Even is not something to be or not to be, to have or not to have. There is no meaning. Even no meaning has no meaning either. Not having, either having or not having. The meaning of having and not having doesn't even exist. The meaning of having or not having doesn't even exist. Even no meaning doesn't mean no meaning either. Therefore, there is no need to be regretful. Humbly recall accordingly. According to the brightness, everywhere just help through releasing and relaxing. In the way that there is no destination at all. Helping without trace. Everything is bygone. Nothing is to be attached to be held on to, whether it is the beginning or the destination, or even the topmost, is all something that not to be attached to. Is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Even the karma, even the vengeance is also something that is not attached to itself, whether it's satisfying or dissatisfying. It's also anicca, dukkha, anatta. No emotions that is to be regretful for. So for everything, not attached to either attachment or non-attachment altogether, no matter what. My to either my or not my altogether. Not attached to either attachment or non-attachment. Not relate to either relating or not relating, so we can release from the release, liberate from the liberation out of it. No matter what, not conditioned even by conditioning or not conditioning altogether, so that it will release from the release, liberate from the liberate. Without bondages, without commitments whatsoever. This will be brightening out to help release from the release, liberate from the liberate for everything. This is the greatest for the life that is just to help cleanse without trace, help release from the release, liberate from the relate. This is the ultimate already. It's not that being humans is the greatest. No matter how you assume up to be, whether you are the Brahma, the angels, humans, or animals, it's not that the humans is the sublime beings. You have to transform your beingness to be brightening, to help samsara, then it can be sublime. It's not that the humans is the sublime being. How can it be? Everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is just misunderstanding, misguided. This is the assumption that is wrong. How can it be sublime? Anicca, dukkha, anatta. What is there that is sublime? The state of everything is declining in every single atom. What is it that is truly sublime? That which is beyond the beyond, not conditioned even by the not conditioned. Shifting to help release and unwind the essence that is beyond the beyond. This is the greatest, the sublime. Otherwise, the life is just stuck in the anicca dukkha anatta state. So much saying about one's own delusion about humans as the sublime beings. How can it be? Birth, aging, illness, and death. How can it be sublime? It's always in this state, in these characteristics. How can it be sublime and greatest? This is fooling oneself. It is just the delusion of opinions and meanings, fooling oneself and others. Once you go beyond, even the beyond and not beyond, not attached to either attachment and non-attachment, that is the life that is beyond life, enable to be the life that is beyond life, then it will be sublime. And then move the great compassion to help release from the release, help purifying through the emptiness and extinction without trace. This is sublime, the true sublime. Everything, all cases of karma. Every desire, delusion, delusive attachment, everything that is not able to yield, everything ahosi, ahosi, ahosi.
Okay, we have any questions or sharing experience from a meditation?
sharing?
Hmm?
Is there anyone sharing? I do feel more relaxed because of the day.
Mm.
You know, I had a full day, and even last night I felt a lot of anxiety. Not because I didn't want you, Dr. Rock, to be here or you to be here. Just felt like, am I going to be, I don't know, up to scratch or whatever. But this, still trying to separate my witness and, you know, have those separate, be the witness of the thoughts, and my witness is on my left side and my right side is handing me the thoughts. I don't know, that's the way I can describe it. And then the witness is going, no, leave it.
That's rich. That's rich. That's a good donation. Yeah. How about you, Aditya? Yeah.
Well, I think I've just become more aware probably over the last 3 weeks of my kind of habit to really criticize and control my meditation. You know, often like I feel like a lot of contractions in my head and a lot of anger associated with that as well. So I would say that I think having a lot more humility to not really listen so intently with that control, but more so to just let it go over my head, even if that's how it seems. And also just being more open to letting all of it be there at the same time. Letting all of it kind of be okay to and be allowed to be there.
In the Vipassana retreat, they tell you about this exercise you do while you're meditating, is to focus, to sharpen your mind, focus on one section of the body. It doesn't matter where, it could be your heel, could be behind your knee, be anywhere, but give like a hard point to focus on. And then you focus on a space the size of your tip of your index finger. You can actually do that and feel the sensations in that tiny section. That's how sharp your mind can be.
You what? You feel what?
You feel sensations in that part of your body.
That you focus on?
Yeah.
Oh.
That small. Because Goenka says that you can feel your body is basically, you can feel everything in your body. People just don't notice the feelings. But you can sharpen your mind so much that you can notice the feelings in like that much space, anywhere. And it's a bit of an exercise to do while you're meditating as well. obviously are like dead areas where you think you can't feel anything, but you actually can. Mm. That's what you work towards. Like not just the surface of your body, inside as well, your organs. That's what they work towards. So the next time I go there, it's not just about the surface of your body, it's inside and going through. So I do that exercise as well. If my thoughts, if I can't stop the thoughts, I start doing that and then it sort of stops. Also haven't talked so much. I feel like a bit of a tour guide today, so I haven't talked so much in my life. I'm a sore throat or something. I'm not used to talking so much.